Hey guys, welcome back to the Get You Happy podcast and TV if you're looking on YouTube. So I'm super excited about season 4. I have gathered more content and just been able to kind of sit and read and work with different clients in regards to different topics and really just be in experience with some of those topics as well. So I've been healing, I've took some time off, I've been drinking plenty of water, I've been writing. It's been a journey. So I'm really excited. I know in last season 3, if you haven't finished, please go back and look at it. There is some good content in each and every season. But season 4, I think we're going to dive a lot deeper into some behaviors and characteristics. So this episode in season 4, we are talking about codependency. And I think this is a great episode to start with because this can happen with our family ships, our partnerships, our relationships. I know that I had been in a codependent relationship growing up, and in my family, in a relationship, in a career. We can find this experience, and it can look like different scenarios. So if you found yourself in a codependent relationship or partnership or companionship, union, whatever that situation, it's a toxic one, and you have to be honest with yourself. When you're in that, it is very toxic, and so you have to learn to create boundaries. So let's get started. I hope you have something to write with. I hope you're excited as I am. We are going through a major transition right now. The Mother Earth is shifting. I've gotten so deep into astrology. I think I'm going to be somewhere down the line, may not be now, but somewhere down the line, I know I am going to bring some of that content into the Get Your Happy brand. So I hope you have something to write with. I gave you opportunity. Let's get started. All right, so signs that you're codependent and you need to let go. Codependency, I have my tablet here, so I'm going to be reading. If you're watching me on YouTube, you'll see my eyes moving around. And if you're listening to me on the audio podcast, I'm sure I'm going to probably record another episodes to show you that I am fully present on the mic there. So codependency, partnerships, or family dynamics can follow behind traumatic experiences. This toxic, one-sided behavior can cause partnerships to feel incapable of growing outside the restricted bond. Both parties can have an obsessive need to be validated, reliant, and need the approval of others. This relationship or partnership is easily characterized as unhealthy and can sometimes lead to physical or emotional abuse. In this episode, we're going to explore some signs that you are potentially in a codependent relationship or bond. Let's get started. Keep listening. All right, so the first thing I'd like to do is I want to paint the canvas of codependency. It took me a while to realize what codependency was. I know now, having worked with some people and having my own experience of it. Codependency, it can look like someone who has a bad temper, lack of healthy communication. They don't know how to communicate thoroughly. They don't know how to identify their feelings, fear of abandonment or rejection. They're constantly looking around them for someone to latch onto. And so that kind of brings back uncomfortable feelings, but we'll get more into that. So unable to trust others or their own decisions, and that being the reason why they may latch on. This person can be indecisive. They can't make their own decisions. They rely on someone else. unable to meet or create boundaries around themselves or meet someone else's boundary. They're not aware of their feelings. And again, back to that space of not being able to healthily communicate how they feel physically or emotionally. This person's unable to adapt to change. Anytime that there is a shift or a change, coming up, this is a space they do not do well in. Okay, so codependency can be caused by childhood traumas or early traumatic experiences. The best and only way to remove yourself from this type of relationship or dynamic is becoming completely aware of what role you play within the relationship and understanding what codependency is. You have to understand what codependency is before you can become aware that you're in it. So being able to go back to those behaviors and characteristics can give you an idea that, hey, I am in, a codependency relationship, or I may be dealing with someone who's very codependent on myself. Okay, so once you have an idea of what codependency is, you have an understanding, you get to figure out the types of behaviors, you begin to get clear. So that's what I had already had there. So, lack of self-worth. Okay, so when this person have lack of self-worth, this is a person who's experiencing trauma, which has opened up childhood wounds. Okay, self-worth is acquired. It's an acquired choice demonstrated by our growing experiences. This is demonstrated from our caretakers, our parents, our legal guardians, things of that sort. Okay, so some of those behaviors can carry into our adult lives, and if we don't handle them, if we're unable to handle those, traumatic wounds, then what happens is we just take that right on into our relationships and our partnerships and, our career. Okay, so it's the earlier, the better, right? So an individual who lacks self-worth can quickly become attached and dependent to their partner. This person will seek constant approval or validation for achievements. Okay, so appearance, emotional stability, they're seeking validation for all of that. So they're heavily relying on you. So if you feel like you're one of those people that, have the world on your shoulders, then chances are you could be dealing with someone who's codependent on you. Okay, and it's up to you to, not consistently find yourself sacrificing your needs or desires because this person is relying heavy on you. Okay, so this can also become, frustrated and hurt you to acknowledge your daily successes. So back to that, you have the weight on your shoulders, you're frustrated, you're unable to, move on to daily tasks because you're constantly putting yourself out, you're sticking your neck out for that person, to meet their needs. And so what happens? You go, unnoticed. All right, so the next thing you may notice for someone, if you're in a codependent relationship or bond, is the person, whoever this person is, their inability to sit in solitude. Okay, so someone who suffers from codependency and becomes anxious during solitude can be the adult child who experienced abandonment. This can be physical, this can be an emotional neglect or rejection from a loved one. Okay, so going back to that legal guardian, that parent, whoever was that, parental figure, there is some abandonment or rejection there. So this can be physical, this can be emotional neglect or rejection, again, from a loved one. This circumstance can be due to an unexpected death. This can be from, maybe your parents are separated at a young age. Maybe they were dedicated to their occupation. This can also be due to substance abuse, whether that's alcohol or heavy, drugs. And so this has led them to pay more attention to that addiction rather than, the responsibilities of, the provider of giving you that love and that parent. Okay, so when this happens, this can describe feelings of emptiness, loneliness, and helplessness. Okay, someone who is codependent may struggle to be in a space alone and may feel depressed or can become emotionally frustrated with themselves, the partner, or the environment around them. This behavior can be adopted if forced to leave the person they're dependent on. Okay, so if they're depending on you, and some of that pain and frustration can be inflicted on you. So the codependent can portray, passive aggressive communication in order to allow you to feel guilty for your separation. So pay attention for that. Someone who kind of, puts you on a guilt trip because you're not available to them. It can be very daunting, can be frustrating, can be, draining. It's toxic. So just kind of being aware of that. Okay. So another, characteristic or behavior is attachment or the need to push and pull. The codependent parties can actually be two people, right? Now this is two people that are codependent on each other. So both individuals can be attracted to the need to hang on to toxic relationships. This can be the child who welcomed consistent direction, overly supervised authority, and, aggression. Okay, when both parties are in a toxic merry-go-round or that push and pull, they can both identify with fears of abandonment and rejection. While one person may need consistent direction and the other person may need intimacy and satisfaction of consistent desire. When that one person does not get enough or too much, fears can grow into isolation, extreme clinging in order to start the push and pull all over again. Okay, so that push and pull, it's an addiction. Both of these individuals are, fearing abandonment, that rejection. And, sometimes if you get too close, one person is putting up the wall, and then that person that feels like they need to, pull away, then they are, this is the person that, fear of abandonment, don't leave me, I'm going to, how can you, why are you way over there? Or, you just left me standing over here by myself. Those are some of the dialogue that you can find for someone that's, codependent. Okay, so the next one is the need to control outcomes in others. All right, so a codependent individual can live in a constant state of fear. This behavior can be developed from past traumatic experiences. The codependent person can build up walls, just like we talked about in the push and pull. From their past experiences, this codependent person can build walls as a defense mechanism, and really just blocking themselves from harmful experiences or people. Okay, this control can also become a developed behavior, a need to feel needed, and have authority. The adult child can commonly be exposed to a parent of power and physical abuse. So this is someone, if they feel like they need to control you, control the environment, control outcomes and how everything works, this is someone who may have, had a very, very toxic past, someone who's been physically assaulted, possibly at a young age. And so they are trying to control every part around them, every moving part, in order to feel safe. Okay, and this experience of codependency will require the person to control outcomes, individuals, to ensure their safety and caution from another traumatic experience. This person can also despise change. Lastly, violent communication. A codependent person can become very abusive verbally. This is because they have a difficult time expressing their authentic feelings. These feelings can be stifled from a trauma or other verbally abusive parental figures. Codependents are not fully aware of their feelings and choose to place attention on where they're emotionally distressed upon. This emotional roller coaster can translate into a broken or an abusive explanation of what they cannot translate. So anyone who is feeling, stressed because they cannot, fully communicate how they're feeling, then this can lead to, violent communication, and they choose poor communication skills like, cursing, name calling, belittling, and, really just, not being able to finish the sentence, or, hanging up the phone, or, leaving the room abruptly. They cannot fully enunciate anything that they're feeling emotionally and physically. Okay, so I want you to really, think about the experiences that you may, currently going through, or who you may be coming in contact with. Really think about the relationship, and if you're actually in a, dealing with someone who's codependent on you, or maybe you are finding out that you are someone who is codependent on someone else. Remember that you are safe, and identify codependency in this, actual episode here. And, if you have to do your own research, do that. If you have to speak with someone, do that. But you have to figure out if you are in a codependent relationship, because it can send you into a very toxic spiral, and some may actually include physical abuse, and abuse is not okay. Okay, so I really want you to sit and think about that. Or you may know someone, and this is where you want to have healthy dialogue, and, gaining awareness for that person, bringing it to their attention. Okay, so I'm super excited about season 4. I think this is a very good topic. It's time for us to get clear and deep into the traumas. I am a person who is bringing you healing and lessons and tools for organic happiness after trauma. And it looks like trauma is a lot of different experiences. So I want to help you move through that and heal you through that trauma for organic happiness. Remember to live abundantly, love your authenticity, and radiate organic happiness. I'm so excited for season 4. I will see you back on the next episode.